Greetings and welcome to another Biz Info Zone show. My name is V. Lynn Hawkins and I'm your host. I'm so excited to be here today in spite of what I'm sure you can see are some technical challenges on my part with the video. But you know what? We're here. I'm excited to be here and I hope you are too. My guest is amazing today. And you know, here in the Biz Info Zone, our goal is to help you, the savvy social entrepreneur, to do more, learn more, and express your purpose. Plan your next moves and take your business and your life into prosperity. And we do that by bringing you tools, tips, strategies, and information and news in 5 categories of business mastery. And today we're in our mindset mastery category. And we're here with my amazing guest. And guess what we're going to talk about today? Own your awesome. How many of us have started in business and really been confident about ourselves and our businesses until we got to a point where we started doubting ourselves? Yep. And today we're going to talk about that missing link between becoming stuck, staying stuck, and ultimate success. And it's all about owning your awesome. It's about discovering and nurturing and expressing your unique gifts, the gifts that are yours. It's not about bragging, it's not about grandiosity, it's about really tapping into the inner knowing that gives you the courage and the energy and the heart to reach higher and to get to where you've designed your life and your business to be. And, you know, Jan has actually said that the one common denominator of successful people is their ability to listen from within and follow that quiet yet powerful voice that leads us towards our greatness. And many of us bump up against that other voice that would have us to want to stay in mediocrity. And one of my dear mentors, Les Brown, taught me a lot of years ago, and I can't tell you how often this is played out in my mind, and that is his definition of mediocre. An average, actually. And he says the definition of average is the best of the worst and the worst of the best. And then I said, oh my God, where do I want to be? Wow. Actually, he asked the question, where are you? Where do you want to be? And I said, well, I don't want to be the worst of the best or the best of the worst. I'd like to be up in that best category. And it is about owning what it is that you want in life. So if you're ready to own your awesome, now is the time, and you're in the right place. You're in the Biz Info Zone with me and our guest today, Jan Riley. Jan and I met not too very long ago as we were exploring some things, and we got on a phone conversation, and I have to tell you that what we sparked between ourselves, we knew that there was more in our future. And Jan and I have so many things that are in alignment, not just with our businesses, but with our lives and with our desires to help others, including you, the social savvy entrepreneur. And so Jan is here today. I'm going to let her do a little more of introducing you and telling you about her background. Hi, Jan. Welcome to the show.
Oh, thanks, Lynn. I am so excited to be here. And you're right. When I met you, it was an instant like, oh, right, here is somebody I can really, really connect with. And, you know, one of the things that I found the most exciting about putting together this Own Your Awesome event have been the speakers that we've gotten. We've gotten amazing people, and I've heard the same thing from every one of them. Wow, what a great topic. How important is this topic? And that was really affirming to me because that's why Mariette and I decided to put it together. You know, because we felt like this is that critical piece that really everyone needs, but entrepreneurs especially need it because we're out there doing everything.
We're out there in the trenches, and we're either getting high fives or getting beat up. And
Exactly, and it takes a lot of energy to keep that going.
it does. It does. Well, so Jan, how did you get started in your journey that has brought you here to this point of, helping those of us who are helping you to bring people more into owning their awesomeness?
Well, my journey really began many years ago, probably about 25, 30 years ago, because I was very unhappy and I didn't know why. I didn't know that there was any possibility for change. And I've always had a problem with depression. Uh, and I will say that's a biochemical issue for me, and I've learned a lot about that. But one thing I've noticed is that what I didn't know then is that I had been participating in creating the cycles for myself and ignoring what was happening to me because it seemed normal to me. I literally thought everyone was suicidally depressed, they just hid it better.
Mm-hmm.
Consequently, I also turned to drugs and became a drug addict, and ironically, my bottom was really not about living on the street. It was about waking up one day and absolutely knowing that this was not who I was supposed to be. And if I couldn't figure out how to do it and still continue to be a pothead. And then I got into recovery, and as I stayed clean and I realized that I had, abuse issues and the biochemical depression and all these layers of things that were affecting how I lived my daily life and how I experienced life. And my journey of dealing with all of those issues really became my primary focus. All my life I've been a creative person, an artist, a musician. That's pretty much all I've done as a career. I was a professional musician for about 15 years, and I've been a professional artist for 30. And I've always had a very deep connection to my creativity and my spirit. And that really saved me. But this other stuff was really a side effect of what happened to me early on getting the message that I shouldn't be so alive. It was my coping with that underlying, that base idea that I should not be so alive. And the only way I could protect myself was to not be so alive. Well, this is really diametrically opposed to this creative part of me that was constantly just gushing out. And as I progressed in my journey of self-awareness, I started to see that there were many layers of which I had incorporated that and how it affected my health, my happiness, literally being in my body, my relationships. And it became so clear to me that this was something that could change. That I could be a happy person, I could be a good friend, I could be a good partner, I could express not just my art on paper or in music, but I could express my creativity as a human being. And this has really always been a big learning touch point for me, is staying in touch with my creativity and enhancing that part of me that just wants to be expressed. That really I feel like it's about being alive. That getting in touch with your awesome is really about being as alive as you can be.
Yes.
And for me, I had to struggle to get to here. There was a lot of hardship to get to this place, lots of work, therapy, and all kinds of meetings. However, when I started to see the progress, it became much more exciting. I started to also see that I was not the only one.
Mm-hmm.
In spite of my history created an ecosystem for me to go where I went, many people had their own ecosystems inside of themselves that produced a lot of the same results. And And sometimes it was as simple as having someone early on tell them, who do you think you are?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And don't be so sassy. Don't be so, whoever you think you are. Or boys aren't going to like a girl smarter than them. Or you don't want to be a braggart like so and so. And lots of us get messages about suppressing that gift that we have, that is who we are, the specialness of who we are. And I find it so exciting when other people find it and claim it, because immediately one thing happens that's amazing, and that is they begin to live out of authenticity automatically. There's no gap anymore. This is who I am, this is what I believe, and this is what I know. Because I bet anyone listening, and you included, knows that once you hit that place of this is what I know, and I know it, it really doesn't matter what anyone else says. They can disagree, they can put you down, whatever. It's like, okay, but I still know it. And it's a place of power, affirmation, but it also has a humbleness and a level of gratitude attached to it.
Oh
So
my.
it's really different than that having to tell everybody I'm authentic. It's that it just comes through me.
Right.
And that's exciting to see and help other people. And I got to say, entrepreneurs really need this, because we're having to put it out there all the time, over and over and over, and often get rejected or less results, or there's all kinds of things that happen out in the world when we put ourselves out there.
There are. And I know that, that's a journey.
Mm-hmm.
That's truly the journey of life. And I would venture to say that there are probably more who experience this, phenomenon that you talked about, having, the little voice in your head that somebody back then said, you're not good enough for that. Who are you? All of those things that you talked about. And then we wake up one day and we're our older selves.
Yes.
We're hearing this and finally asking the question back, well, why not? Why can't I be? Who are you to tell me this? And even to recognizing that, sometimes it's been family. It's been the people that we've, trusted to
The
protect
most.
us and love us. And, this was what we knew, and then it was equated to, okay, if they're supposed to love us, and then is this love? If this is what love is, then that's what I need to do. And we perpetuate the cycle.
Yes.
And so one of the things that I know that, owning your awesome is about is breaking the cycle.
Yeah.
And really standing in, I know there's something better. Even if you don't know what it is, there's something better.
Yeah.
And a lot of people jump to, well, I'm just going to show up and be, this all powerful and bragging, and, this is unfortunately what they think makes them feel good. Tell us how that bragging and being in this space of the big head and the ego driver is harmful.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up, and I want to go back a little bit to, you made a really great point, is that most of us got signals about sharing that special part of us from people we love and trust. And they were mimicking what they learned, and usually out of a place where they had been hurt or rejected or scared when they tried to share it. And they had no one to help them navigate through that process. And no one to tell them, well, just keep going. Sometimes people don't respond great. They had no one to help them, so they didn't know how to help us. Therefore, we get out there in the world and we're trying to express ourselves with power and integrity, and also just, to get the attention we feel like we need and deserve. So what I've seen is generally many people just mimic someone. That's what they're doing. They're mimicking someone they think is doing a good job. And generally that's somebody that gets the attention, and at least in America, is often somebody who's over the top or bragging or not necessarily having a high level of integrity. And by copying that, there's two things that happen. The first is, and you mentioned this and you were spot on, it doesn't go over very well. People immediately pull back and you're not sure why, and so the response, at least I've done this before, is that you get more in their face. And the second thing that happens is, from the inside, it feels even more awkward and more out of alignment with who we really are. You see, that is about mimicking what we think awesome is without claiming it. It's about knowing our awesome but not claiming it, and that's the difference. When you claim, this is who I am, this is what I'm about, this is what I really have, that gap goes away. And anybody that has closed that gap, you immediately feel when you're with them. And Les Brown is a great example of that. He is dynamic, he is an incredible speaker, and he has this gentle, just really realness about him. Mm-hmm. Because he knows what he knows. He doesn't have, if you don't agree with him, whatever, But I'm saying, and I would encourage people, look at the people out in the world. It may be your pastor. It may be your best friend. It may be somebody at work or a speaker that you've heard, or someone at a networking event that really struck you by how they were able to share what they do, have, or know without beating you over the head or making you feel pressured or less than. This is someone who is claiming what they know. Now, I'm going to give a couple of tips here as to some ways that you can start with that. Because I know it's a big step to claim, oh, I'm a creative genius, right? I just am. I can't help it. I've always been like that. I don't really call myself a creative genius, but other people do. But when it came to other things in my life, I had to start really small. And that may be something like, one thing I know is really true about me is that I really like other people. That's it. I start with something very simple like that. And I say it until it feels absolutely right. I am a person who genuinely really likes other people. And I can claim that. So I practice getting it into my body. I practice saying it and feeling it so that it really becomes mine. I will then move on to something else, maybe business related, and that is, I'll say something like, I love sharing my ideas with other people. It makes me feel really alive, and I love sharing my ideas and connecting with other people. I can say that. I can practice it. I can tweak it. And once you get used to saying these smaller ways of which you are really unique and you are really special, the bigger ones will start to follow. Many of us try to step into, I'm the greatest blah, blah, blah ever. And I don't know about you, but for me, that just brings up that critical voice. Mm-hmm. So I generally resonate a completely different feeling than what I'm trying to create. So I like to try small statements that I know are absolutely true and then start to really build a solid foundation of where does that feel in my body? How do I know this is true? How do I feel when I express it? How do I feel? And then I would say go out and say it to people. Say it to your best friend. Call somebody. I would suggest picking 5 people and calling them every single day and saying your truth, even if you leave it on as a message on their machine. So you can practice what it feels like to say it in an authentic way. Practice and see what kind of gremlins come up.
That's huge. That is really huge. And I love that exercise. Not a lot of us go through that kind of exercise because it's just as you said, it brings up some things. Because when we're looking at our brain, one brain, two minds, and our 2 minds start talking to each other, if we've lived in the space of, you know, the slightest thing makes me angry, but I love to be with people, you know, there's a huge gap there, the gap that you were talking about, and you really have to have the desire to bridge that gap for the work that you're talking about to actually work. And not that it won't work when you don't believe, it's just going to take a little longer.
Yeah.
And I'm of the mindset of I like easy and I like fast.
Yep.
I like fast cars and, you know, the fast changes that help me to step up to another level and be in a place of ease and grace to do what it is that I know I'm put here to do. And I love the way you said just being awkward and out of alignment. And I guess if you are in a space of feeling awkward at any place or out of alignment, that's a signal. Isn't that a signal that says, you know, let's figure out what else comes up so that you can move it out of the way to really stand in your awesome?
There's 2 kinds of awkward I've noticed in my life. Because I've had to change some really big lifestyle changes. And one thing I noticed is as I'm moving into a new type of thinking, there's an awkwardness whenever I do something better. When I do something better for myself, if I've been being self-destructive my whole life and I start to do something self-affirming, I'm going to feel super awkward. It's going to feel like, this is craziness, this doesn't make any sense. And so that can be a really good signal. It means if it feels a little off or weird, it could mean that I'm doing something really positive I've never done, and I'm incorporating. That's why I like these little tiny experiments, because the purpose of them is to help you get that knowing, that to adjust your sensory perception to know, am I doing this in a good way? Is this fitting or not? And it helps to know on the little things. Then there's a second kind of awkwardness, and that is I'm acting way out of alignment with who I am, and I need to revamp my decision making on this. All of the knowing the difference between that and just like so many other things, whether something is really right for me or wrong for me, has to do with developing a real working knowledge of your internal balance meter. And that's why I love these little experiments, because they're really just designed to help you go through these little steps. So 1, you can start to see the change. But 2, you want to do it in a safe way. When you call up a friend and say your I am statement on their machine, you're going to have your feelings, and you're going to start to do this dance inside, like you said, with these 2 minds. And you will start over time to really understand what's the difference between something that feels awkward because, oh, I'm trying something new, so it feels a little different, and it's really good for me. Of course, that's going to bring up a lot of feelings too. Or this feels like old crap, doesn't feel in alignment. Everyone has their own measuring inside, but I have found with this owning your awesome, that's a big missing piece, because many of us try to skip over understanding how we tell the difference. And that has to do with the fact that no one's ever taught us how to figure it out. I bet you've noticed this in relationships, that in all kinds of relationships, interpersonal and outer relationships, that sometimes you meet someone and you connect and it feels great and you know it immediately. Sometimes you connect with someone and it feels good, but later it doesn't. And sometimes you meet someone and you immediately just get this feeling. These are examples of you knowing somewhere inside where things go in that balance. We're much better at doing this on the outside of us than the inside. For you to claim your awesomeness, it's extremely helpful to understand how your feelings interact with what you're doing, so that you know in a really solid way that you know what you know. And that's what owning your awesome is about. I tell people, start with something other people tell you you do naturally. Maybe you smile beautifully and people love it. Maybe you make people feel good when you're near them. Now, probably most people out there, they're not going to think they're doing anything. They're like, it's like for me, people say, you're so creative. Well, I don't think of myself as being creative. I just think of myself as waking up. It is really that much a part of me. It doesn't even occur to me. So I know that's true about me.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, it's almost so true for me, it's hidden. So sometimes it's easy to start with something that is so true for you, you may not even see it.
Mm-hmm.
Because once you find that touch point inside, then you'll know if something else hits there. And that is extremely helpful. That's what I'm really about. I love helping people find that touch point inside so they can continue to add more layers of their awesomeness.
And
especially in business.
Yeah.
And we talked about this. Business owners and entrepreneurs, we wear a lot of hats. And we have to interact with people on many, many levels. As a provider of services, as a person who's doing the back end stuff, as often as someone who's hiring other people, and then there's all the other things that have to do with interacting out in the world when you have a business. There are many different roles, and for most of us, each one of those roles can bring up a new set of challenges. Challenges are one of those places where when you can own your awesomeness, it can make going through challenges so much easier.
Mm-hmm. I'm so glad you said that. It takes me to what I do a lot of teaching around, and that is awareness. Mm-hmm. And the law of awareness. Once you become aware of something, you've expanded.
Yeah.
And there, once expanded, it cannot go back.
Right.
And even in knowing when something comes up that you've expanded to the point of awareness of that, you go to the next stage, and then you're in a process. It's called awakening. Mm-hmm. It's called, building from you do know to trusting what you know. And stemming from that whole concept of awareness. If there isn't awareness, there's no opportunity for growth.
Right.
And so, yeah, it's key to stand in your awesomeness. Doesn't mean that you have to be totally in, I know this, I believe this to be true, but you do have to be aware that you're moving in that direction.
Yeah.
And you're claiming who it is that you desire to be, who it is that you know you were created to be. This creative person that you are was the part of you that brought you to really living life.
Mm-hmm.
And that happens with so many of us, and sometimes we don't even realize that that's what it is. And I love the Own Your Awesome project, because what you are bringing to the world, what you're a catalyst for bringing to the world, is different perspectives.
Yes.
Of getting through that process where you actually can stand and own your awesomeness. When you and I first started talking about it, I thought it was so great because, you know, there are those of us who stand in our awesomeness, yet for some who don't know us, they do have a tendency, or could have a tendency, to think it's grandiose and, oh, look at her. But then you also have to bring it back to knowing that not everybody's going to like you.
Yeah.
Not everybody's going to want to like you. Not everybody is going to want or need what you have to offer to the world. But you got to be okay with that.
Yeah.
And being okay with that, you can stand in your awesomeness. And not feel bad when somebody says, no, I don't think so. Either, you know, it's not the right time, I don't have enough money, you know, whatever it is, it's their thing,
Yeah.
not yours.
Right.
And I love the fact that you were talking about the common denominator of successful people is that their ability to listen from within.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not just the voice, but it's the voice that comes from heart. And I think, you know, starting at this level of awareness and moving through the awakening and into the rose blossoming is the whole communicating with the heart.
Yes.
And, you know, I want you to do a little more to tell us about your journey of your heart awakening that really brought you to connecting your I know this to your heart and your heart's desires.
Well, you know, I'm really glad you asked me that, and I want to just say one thing, and when I say own your awesome, folks, I don't mean be perfect. Owning it is about owning all of it, you know, good, bad, and ugly. I really couldn't own my good stuff till I owned all the other stuff. See, I was a person who in my journey kept waiting to share my awesomeness because I thought I had to fix all the bad stuff first. Well, after 2 or 3 decades, I realized that wasn't really happening fast enough for me. So, luckily, I'm impatient, so that worked for me. You know, for me, it was really about a pivotal moment for me with this was in my depression. And this was a while ago, probably 20 years ago. And I was going through a really, really bad time. And when I say depressed, I'm the kind of person that when I was depressed, I wanted to kill myself all day long. That's what happens. My brain screams, you've got to do it. You've got to get out of this. This is so awful. It's only going to get worse. And I know it's chemical because for me, I've noticed that it happens when I first wake up. I'm not even thinking anything. It's like the first thought of my brain is you got to get out of this. So I'm trying to ride it out yet one more time. And I'm in a meditation, and I see a tree growing out of some rocks, some big rocks like granite. And I see this tree growing out of the rocks, and I hear a voice saying, now try to kill it. So I'm like, okay, and I'm pouring poison on it, and I'm chopping it down, and I'm bending it, and I'm doing all that, and it says, okay, watch the tree. I'm watching the tree. And it's like, you can stunt it, you can kill it, you can try to make it not grow, you can starve it. And it said, what is the one thing you can't do? And it hit me. The one thing I couldn't do was make it not want to live. And I realized that everything around me, everything in the whole planet had one goal, and that was to thrive. Now, there's all kinds of situations that can affect our ability to thrive, just like that tree. There's things that can kill that, just like that tree. But the thing that cannot happen is that imperative inside of every single molecule on the planet that has come together, and that is to grow and thrive. And I realized in that moment that if I could learn something so diametrically opposed to every cell in my body, every atom in my body and everything else on the planet only wanted to thrive. And yet I had learned somewhere in there as a coping mechanism that I should die. And I thought, if I can learn that, I can learn anything. I mean, if I can learn something so off the mark.
Totally on the other end of the spectrum.
I can learn anything.
Mm-hmm.
And it changed my view on how stuck I had to be there.
Getting goosebumps over that.
And I use a lot of nature imagery. I see things in imagery, and that was so powerful to me because, I mean, I wish I was going to say like, oh, boom, I was fixed. No, that wasn't really true. However, what I started to understand is whether I believe in God or not, whether I believe in the law of attraction, whether I believe in mindset, whether I believe in prosperity, all of that, wherever I am in any flux of that, I have always believed I am part of the planet. Just seems obvious to me. I've always believed I am part of all the stuff that's here. That's a part of knowing that I know, okay? So there's no gremlins that can really take out that particular belief for me. And that just touched me in a way. Wow, okay, I am no less than and no more than every blade of grass, every cloud, every tree. And I started to understand that I had a choice somewhere in there, and that I had learned that. That was not me. That was something I learned.
Mm-hmm.
Just like now, this is my belief, and anyone can disagree or not, whatever. The issues that I have with my biochemistry are happening to me. It is not me. You know, I don't think a diabetic thinks when they're having low blood sugar, that's them, even though it may make them crabby or act drunk or any number of things. I am an addict. I don't use drugs. I've been clean for 20 plus years. But I don't get around them either. But it doesn't define who I am. It is an effect that has happened with my body. I have my beliefs and my actions around that. And all of those different, just like the abuse, I know it hardwired me certain ways. I respond to certain situations. And it doesn't define me. It's a part of me. Mm-hmm. The creativity inside, what it did for me, more than anything, is it gave me a place, even as a young child, all the way through my adulthood, even to today, where there is a place inside of me that I know is always growing and flourishing. If that makes sense. It's like there's a fountain in there. Now, at many times in my life, it's been a tiny, tiny, tiny trickle. But I knew it was there. And so My goal has been to uncover the crap on top of it and let it flow. And just like any other stream or any other thing in nature, there's some maintenance you do. And if I want that to flow freely, if I want it to, for years I thought it should just flow in me, right? That was my perception. Then I realized, oh, wow, what if I let it out in the world?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that only took 40-something years. I was like, oh, that could be really cool. Okay, and that was scary. Felt really uncomfortable.
Awkward.
Awkward, but in that way of, okay. And so, that has been my process of how I continue to see myself growing and expressing. I keep a check on that negative self-talk that says, nobody wants this, or it's just like everyone else, or, well, mine is you're too fat, or who needs another motivational speaker, all kinds of things like, what is the point, Jan? There's tons of people out there sharing beautiful energy in the world. When that one came out, I loved this one. When that one finally came to the surface of my brain, I realized, wow, okay, that one had been holding me back a lot. Why bother when there's so many other people that are so much more whatever, and they've got all this stuff coming out? And then I thought, okay, look around, Jan. Does the world not need it?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, really? Is me sharing all this like, I mean, I am a volcano. Literally, I've been trying to sit on this volcano, and it's like, okay, if you let this out, is it going to prevent someone else from doing it? I look around at the planet. If I let one tree be really healthy, does that mean none of the other ones will be? And it hit me, wow, that was yet another thing that I had kind of adopted to try to keep it down. So every step I find another layer that will help me, and it's just like you said, it's about being aware. I pay attention to what I feel, what I act, and I try to listen to what I'm saying to myself. Because once you hear the crazy stuff come out of your mouth, it's like, oh, then you have a chance to change it.
It's like, thank you for showing up for me. I hear you. And, one thing that I know is that the other piece of that is the joy in the emerging.
Yes.
The emerging through and into exactly who you are at your highest and best good. And you're so right. I'm glad you pointed that out. It's like, for basically no one is perfect.
Right.
So wherever you are, to be able to claim I'm awesome right here with every fault and every beautiful, beautiful thing that I am and do and share, that is you in awesomeness.
Yeah.
And I love that. You're so right that, when you just break it all down, what is the most basic thing that we find here on this planet, and that is every organism, every cell is looking to, expecting to grow and thrive. And again, that's the whole emerging thing, because again, the caterpillar emerges into the butterfly. Now, do you think that the caterpillar, and this is where we kind of get stuck sometimes too, the caterpillar says, oh, I don't want this, I don't want to come out of this, first of all, I don't want to come out of the cocoon to become a caterpillar.
Yeah.
And then for me to turn into a butterfly, it's like, oh, no, let me go sit on this couch over here because I don't understand what becoming a butterfly is all about. So I need some help. Now, I don't say that to say going and sitting on that couch and spending that time isn't valuable. That could very well be the key to you making it through that piece of your journey.
Right.
Seek that out, do that work, because that is the journey. And that is so beautiful. Jan, tell us a little more about what the Owning Your Awesome event is all about.
Well, I'm excited. When I first thought about putting it together, I was a little hesitant. I thought, oh, people are going to think this is a little, over the top. But, my feeling has always been that it is about success, happiness, and thriving is about owning your special gift, what you have to share, and then stepping into a place to share it as much and as often as you can or are willing to do. And that's what, when I think of the happiest times in my life, when I think of the most connected interactions I've had with people, that's what we've been doing. And I've seen that with many, many, many successful people. They have an element of really owning who they are and what they want, where they're going, and what they have to offer. In the Own Your Awesome event, my goal was to bring together a big package of speakers who can bring resources on how to discover your awesomeness for those that really don't know what it is. Also, how to nurture it once you find that inkling of what it is. How to encourage, nurture, grow it. And then there's the element of expressing it out in the world and expressing it confidently, because a lot of us have this gap between finding and expressing it and then being confident when we're out there wanting to share it. We have some amazing speakers. We have speakers who are going to cover everything from how to know what you're really feeling, to asking the hard questions, to processes on really taking this into your business. We have a lot of interactive modules, and more than anything, every single speaker we asked to speak jumped on the chance because it was so in alignment with them. And that really showed us that this is a timely topic, this is really right on, and our interviews with them have been incredible. In fact, you can go to youcreateyou.com right now, and you can sign up and get the free video shorts. And you're going to find out we have some amazing speakers. Right now we have 11 speakers, and it's 2 days on November 6th and 7th. And we're also going to have a panel discussion, which I'm really thrilled about, where we're going to get as many of the speakers as can attend so we can all discuss really powerful tips on discovering your awesomeness and expressing it, clearly and confidently in the world. Someone said the other day when I was interviewing them that owning your awesome is the difference between seeing the success in your life and thinking the success in your life. And I thought that was a powerful statement.
It is. Yeah, I love it. And for our audience, I want you to know that there will be a link in the chat on the event page, and there will be a tag when the video comes up. There will be a tag in the video where you can go to sign up for the Own Your Awesome event. And we're just excited to invite you to come and play with us.
So, Lynn, why don't you tell them a little bit about your topic? Because, Lynn is going to be one of our speakers.
Oh, I'm so excited, too, because I'm going to speak about this is your time to soar. And we're actually going to go a little in depth on the law of awareness, the law of emerging, the law of awakening, and how they all play into the law of attraction. Mm-hmm. I'm going to share with you also, Jan, have you ever had something happen to you that was an emotional trigger that brought you to the point of saying, okay, that's one more thing, yet you also thought, geez, there's nothing available to me that I can do this and knock this out right here, right now. I've
Right.
got to go back and get in the mirror. I've got to spend 10 minutes before I go to sleep, or I've
Yeah.
just got to do something, but it doesn't allow you to address that in the moment.
Yeah.
Well, I've developed, and I say I've developed, it was definitely a God bump download that I'm going to be sharing with our audience. And it is a technique that incorporates hypnosis, NLP, and tapping that
Oh,
can actually shift any negative emotional charge that you feel within less than a minute. And it's something
that
that
sounds
you can do
great.
in public. It's something that you can do when you need it, so that that emotional trigger is no longer something that can impact you. You know, we talked about being angry. We talked about how it is that you handle these things when they emerge for you to see. These
Right.
challenges being lessons. And what is this lesson here to teach me? Well, you could scratch your head all day long, but how would you like to have a technique where you could ask that question and get the answers and get them and not be in judgment about yourself in receiving that information? And so I'm so excited to be a part of Own Your Awesome. You know, I've got a book series coming out, and the first book is Permission to Be Powerful, where
Ooh.
20 women entrepreneurs have put together their chapters to share with women entrepreneurs that are not only inspirational, but they actually share the tools and concepts that they used to help them in their journey to
Hmm.
success, and that they continue to use today, that allows them to stand in their awesomeness. And so thank you for inviting me to be a part of the event. I'm so excited, and I want all of our audience to be there.
Absolutely. It's going to be great. It's 2 whole days. And everybody is really pulling out the stops because they're so excited, just like you are, to share the techniques and the information that they have learned that really work for them. And it's so many different perspectives that I'm sure you will find one, if not all of them, really helpful.
Well, so, and you're going to be one of the presenters. Tell us a little bit about your segment.
Well, my segment is really about owning the awesome. It is about owning this part of you that you know is true, and it's techniques and tools to really dig down and develop that clear sense of knowing. You know, I've always had it. It's been very intuitive for me.
Mm-hmm.
Um, However, I meet people all the time that don't. They're like, I don't know what's right for me. I don't know how I feel. I'm not really sure where that place is. And what I've done is go back and look at all the various things that I've done throughout my life that have helped strengthen that connection for me, and come up with activities and questions and what I like to call experiments, because it's not so judgmental, so that people can really start to develop that. Because once you develop that place where you know something is true, you can start to add to the basket, like you said.
Yes.
You just start building that place. For me, I think of it as uncovering the spring. I want people to have a safe place inside of them where they feel in control and powerful, but calm and safe. And for a lot of people, those things don't all go together. So it's about getting that little basket or that place inside of you that has all of those components, so that when you want to draw on it, you know where it is.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for sharing that. For our viewers, you can go to skyhawkenterprises.biz. Own your awesome. Just own your awesome, and find your way to the information about the 2-day event, and the information that you can also sign up. That is the preview videos that Jan did, and they actually really great info. Nobody held back anything in those.
It's great. Everybody just kept. It was hard to keep them down to 30 minutes. We tried for 20, but most of them went to 30 because people were so excited to share.
Well, this is not just a popular topic. This is a space that we're reaching into where people, women entrepreneurs who are opening businesses one day and just giving up and saying, I can't do this.
Yeah.
And going back to environments that really are not healthy for them. Mm-hmm. This is where we have the opportunity to encourage you, the savvy social entrepreneur, the person who wants to do more in your business so that you can do more in the world. Yeah. So join us on November 6th and 7th at the Own Your Awesome event and just get what you need. Even if it's just being a part of the community, there are also a couple of places where you can be a part of the Own Your Awesome community, right, Jan?
Yep. Well, all you got to do is sign up for the free video shorts, and we'll tell you all about it.
Cool.
And that's the easiest thing to do. We'll tell you all about it, and we have some hot seats available. So if you have any questions about how to really get in touch with your awesome, then go to that page and you can sign up for a hot seat, and you'll get a 20-minute session with us or one of our speakers. And this can be some real personalized help on your specific issues that is really invaluable.
It really is, and I look forward to you joining us for the Own Your Awesome event and coming back next week to join me for another show in the zone. That's the Biz Info Zone show. Jan, is there any one thing that you really want to leave our audience with that we can close on today?
Yeah, I want to say really one thing, and this is to everyone out there from me, that I really do believe in you. Even though I've never met you, I don't know you, I don't know your good, I don't know your flaws, I don't know any of that, but I really believe that you wouldn't be here on the planet at this time or even watching this if there was not something inside of you that the world really needs, if there was not some really wonderful, special, juicy greatness. I believe in it. And if you aren't there yet, just know that I will hold that until you find it.
That is beautiful. Thank you so much. I think that is a powerful note for us to close the show on. I believe in you and want to show you that. So join us.
Absolutely.
Our guest today has been Jan Riley, co-founder of the Own Your Awesome event in the Own Your Awesome community. I'm V. Lynn Hawkins, your host, founder of Skyhawk Enterprises and the P3 Academy of Social Entrepreneurship, and I invite you to join me again next week, right here, same time, same place, for the next show in the zone. Bye for now.